they've got to realise initially that it's not about art. It's a commodity, it's something to do. If they were going to become a doctor, they would study, and then they would look for openings in the medical world and they'd go for it. It's the same thing with art. It's you've got to get away from the fact that you're being creative. You've got to get away from that if you're going to make a living at it. You've got to look at, you've got to be pragmatic. Whatever's going on around you that can fulfill your dream, you've got to be aware of it. So you've got to look for opportunities first. And you can make your own luck with it by being open to any kind of opportunity. If somebody wants you to design some prints for them, they want to design a poster or whatever, you just don't know how you're going to get noticed if your work is good enough. But it won't work if you're not much good, you know, it doesn't happen. You've got to know your stuff. And it's all right going to college and all the rest of it, but there's a lot of extracurricular stuff that you've got to do. And you've got to love what you do, and you've got to become an art buff. You've got to know your stuff, you've got to know your history. In the mode of thinking, not an artist, I'm selling a commodity. And you've got to go about it the right way. And if you do, if you write down the rules, which are pretty basic, I mean, if you look at Euclid's theories of geometry and trigonometry, they're all basic, they're all common sense. You look at them and this will be this if that's that. It's all basic stuff, and it's the same with art. If your composition's right and your lighting's right and your colour, you're halfway there, then you've got to be able to sell yourself. Then you've got to be able to work with other people. You've got to, you're the commodity, not the thing on the wall. If that's nice, it's nice, but if you can stand there and you can embellish it by talking a little bit about it and making friends with people and being friendly, then you're going to do well. Yeah, I was a pal of Arthur Delaney's from my family being friends with their family, you know, years and years ago. I met Mr. Lowry through Arthur. They were having a joint exhibition in the 70s. It was about 72, 73. Maybe a little bit later than that. But I went to Arthur's house during the day, and there was a car outside, the old Austin Princess. And as I pulled up, Arthur was just coming out. He said, Mr. Lowry's in the car. Right. Now at the time, I knew of him, but it wasn't, you know, he wasn't as famous then as he became later. He was famous with the seats and different parts of the art world, but he wasn't as famous to the general population as he became. And he's in the back of the car, and he said, go and let on to him. So I went down and I said, hello, Mr. Lowry. He said, oh, hello. He said, yes, Arthur's mentioned you, type of thing, you know. So the bloke at the front, the chauffeur, turned round and said, that coat will have to be moved, because old man Lowry had put a brand new gabardine coat across the back of the thing so it didn't get creased in the car, because he was going to wear it. That was a bit of a trademark, you know, the stuff. Arthur said, listen, you're here to drive the car, shut it and drive. Now the coat stays where it is. You know who you're talking to, see? And that was the first time I ever met him, and it was he was nice. And he just smiled and said thank you, and off he went. And then later I used to do a little bit of freelance work for particularly radio. I used to go out with a pal of mine, Roger Finnegan, and we ended up in Wigan at Theodore Major's house. And well, it was an experience and a half. He was the nicest bloke I've ever met, but he used to go mad at people. And he used to get that mad, his false teeth used to come out with his shouting and everything, because I think he hadn't been refitted for his teeth, and like his face had shrunk, and his teeth had stayed the same size, and when he started shouting, he flew out at you. And they might hit the deck, you know, and he'd say, pick them up for us. And he'd pick his teeth and he'd put them straight back in, he wouldn't wipe them or nothing. It was just a nice bloke, but he was cantankerous, and he knew his art. And I sat there for hours just talking about different painters, you know. And like Lowry, Theodore Major loved a French artist called Utrillo. Both of them thought he was absolutely splendid. There's one current one, Ken Howard, London painter, and I absolutely adore his work. I do, and he's, you know, tried and tested lad, war artist and everything, and he's been all over the world, and he cut his teeth really from the commercial point of view by doing the drawings for all the yellow pages in Great Britain, from the front covers, and they're absolutely gorgeous. You know, they were works of art in their own right. To have one of those, it was the first time I noticed his work. I thought, where does that come from? You know, and it was every different, all the different major cities. He did drawings of them, and it was gorgeous. So, obviously, I like Lucian Freud. You know, I liked his work ethic and the way he'd gone at it, and he wouldn't be diverted in any way. And the man was a genius, you know. Absolute genius. I like the new. I like Peter Doig's stuff. Who came to notice a few years ago when one of his paintings that he'd sold for £1,000 went for 7 million. And he was on the TV, and the interviewer said to him, "How did you feel, Peter?" He said, "Well, you know, you've got to be philosophical." I thought, yeah, you've got to walk off the stage and start crying in a minute. You've got to be philosophical. But it pushed all his other paintings, you know, brighter. Peter Howson, I love his stuff, he's a Scottish artist, and I think his work is wonderful. I think that poor lad was in the forces, and you know, he had a bit of a rough time. And afterwards, critics have had a go at him because he painted a few things afterwards, and they said, well, you know, you didn't paint it there, you painted it here back in the studio, but come on, if a man can have, you know, that kind of trauma, post-traumatic stress and all the rest of it, then why can't he remember it and put it on canvas? You know, that's just as valid.